Welcome back.
Welcome back to Memory Leak. We have a full house today.
We do.
And
we've got a dog, we've got a baby.
We've got a dog, we've got a baby, and we've got two babies locked up with fucking microphones right now.
That's right.
Because we're talking about toys again. Talking about expensive toys. What you call
boss babies.
In more ways than one, actually, and it's very unfortunate, but what the hell is your name?
My name is Benjamin More Obsidian Jamin.
And my name is Geron. Please do not close the page, Geron. And what the fuck? I already said what the name of the podcast is. You already know what it is. What are we talking about today? Plenty of stuff. There's plenty of little things.
Of shit.
Plenty of little things. Let's do it.
You got your Switch 2 pre-order.
We got our Switch 2 pre-orders, so we don't have to think about that shit anymore.
I'll tell you, like I said it wouldn't be that hard.
It wouldn't be that hard. I think, did I agree with you? You
said it would be harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah, okay.
Which maybe is true.
I think it was not as easy as getting a Switch initially. The first Switch.
That's definitely true.
I literally just placed an order and got it the day it came.
But I'll tell you.
It came out.
Last night at midnight, the three first real retailers went live, Walmart, Best Buy, Target. And it was a little bit of a shit show. Yeah. It was a little sloppy. Target's website went down.
Target's website went down instantly.
Best Buy didn't even go up for a little bit.
Yeah, Best Buy chilled for like an hour, it felt like.
But the reality was they were pretty smart about it. Walmart, I'm impressed with their experience. The whole queuing thing.
The queuing thing was, like, I didn't expect that.
I had no website issues with Walmart.
Yeah, I've never used Walmart before for anything like that. So, one, that they required you to have a sign, and I was like, oh, that's a good sign. So I made one real quick. And two, I sat in the queue. They let you shop while the queue's still present. I was like, this is a pretty robust way of handling it.
It's a decent digital experience.
Yeah. And I was doing it on my phone because I was sitting there with my TV there. That's why for a while I wasn't saying anything in the chat.
I was on my laptop in bed, ready to fall asleep, which is where I got the Walmart locked in.
Yeah, you got Walmart locked in.
And then Best Buy hadn't gone live yet, so I was kind of waiting because I figured somebody would be struggling to get one. So I got in the queue for Best Buy, and then I fucking fell asleep.
You fell asleep in Best Buy? I didn't know that. Okay.
After 30 minutes, and I woke up and it said sold out, and I was like, oh, well I closed my laptop.
Yeah, you fucking got something.
But this morning, I was seeing reports from Wario64, like people were still getting them on Walmart. Which is like pretty good.
I saw people were getting them in like a couple of extra waves on Walmart and Best Buy. So I was like, oh, okay.
And I'm willing to bet there probably is more stock that they haven't unleashed in this first wave.
They haven't like allocated for pre-orders yet. Yeah.
Right. And there's probably going to be some in-store units that are for non-pre-orders.
Yeah.
So they're pretty well stocked. And I think they were smart because I'm willing to bet they were originally 6 months ago thinking about launching in March, and then they did the numbers. They did the numbers, and they started stockpiling. They're like, we're gonna need some more. We're gonna need some more inventory.
We're gonna need some more stock to serve people and to deal with the uncertainty of the economic the economic situation.
Yeah. So November 2nd was that election day?
November 2nd.
Something like that. First week of November.
The Thursday that we voted.
After that, I honestly feel like that was when they were like, all right, we should just stock up. We don't know what's going to happen. Say what you will about the Orange Man. Uncertainty is the number one thing you can count on, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on.
Ironically.
So from a business perspective, when you deal with uncertainty, you stockpile. And that's, I think, what they started doing. Yeah. And they were probably going to do some kind of a Switch 2 reveal and release date sometime, I would guess, like probably December, January, depending on what happened. But because of that, they just wanted to be sure.
They wanted to make sure everything was like in a row, and even then, it wasn't quite. And you can actually detect that in the presentation where they didn't tell you about the price.
Exactly.
Where they skirted around stuff like that.
They had that
just
built
talked
for
about
months.
Yeah. They talked about certain things, but with ways to slot in the information as once they became sure of it. You can tell there was issues with it because the fucking not issues. There were little incomplete things about it when you tried to watch the US stream and it fucking broke.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
But here we are. It's the dawn of a new day. Everyone's got their Switch pre-orders. At least everybody that I know.
A lot of people have them. I got mine. Actually, the funniest thing, before we go into it too, one of my coworkers knows a bunch of people that like current coworkers knows a bunch of people that use they set up bots. They do everything they do to set up bots because they were like sneakerheads.
Right.
So they tried to do it with this one. He's like out of that, but he's still in the Discords where people are doing it.
Right. Yeah.
And apparently, like Best Buy and all that made it nearly impossible for them to try to. They were panicking because they couldn't get any.
That's funny.
So whatever was being done, like whatever preparations were made, despite like websites going down and shit, it seems to have worked out so that people that really wanted the system could pre-order.
And this is all before the Nintendo one comes out in May.
Yeah, this is completely before the Nintendo one. That's in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, you already know because of the group chat. I was sitting there contemplating, should I just sleep and bank on getting one of those? And I'm glad I didn't, because now I can be like, okay,
you can rest easy.
Like I can just be like, whatever happens, I have one.
Yeah.
And I didn't get canceled or anything this morning or something like that. And I'm gonna have to go pick it up anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna physically go to the store.
Now you can go at
pick
midnight.
it up. If
you want
if Best Buy opens at midnight, I can totally get it at midnight.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if
they're doing that. I don't care really because I'm gonna be like
Wednesday night.
Yeah, exactly. Like it'll be on. Well, like I'd be able to pick it up either on my way to or on my way from working anyway. Though I wouldn't pick it up on my way to because I have to sit in my car in the heat and I don't want to do that.
Right.
But the bot situation, I think in the end, despite how difficult it was to just kind of be in those lines on the websites, it worked out.
It did. It required a little bit of patience, a little bit of faith in the system, but that I felt rewarded for.
My understanding, speaking of the Nintendo thing, is that they had to post a little thing that says something along the lines of people might get their invitations after launch day, and if you get your
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and if you get your order in, because what I imagine is they're now like they're at the point where they're like we're gonna have to take some pre-orders for consoles that don't exist yet.
I see. I see.
And part of that
is that what they were saying in Japan?
I think it was here. I read it in English.
Because in Japan, I know they were like, "Oh, this massively exceeded what we were expecting."
Yeah, exactly.
2.2 million for hardware in Japan is pretty fucking
huge,
crazy.
Yeah, I think at least initially, I think the Switch 2 is not going to have the problems that I kind of imagined it might.
Yeah,
where people don't want.
Yeah, I don't need it yet.
Like the more I see it, is that there are people complaining about the price and everything, but they're also the same people that are getting it.
Right.
They're like, it kind of sucks that it's expensive.
They're the
but
people
I
that are complaining about body type 1, body type 2.
I mean, to be frank, not really.
No, it's not the same people. My point being that it's a minority. Mm-hmm. It's a more minority loud voice.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were critical of the prices, especially because they were sure they were going to get it.
Yeah, and they were like, I'm mad that I'm going to spend this much money.
That I'm going to take. I wish it wasn't like this, but I want these games, and I don't want to be out when it comes to Mario Kart and stuff like that.
And again, I think people are most upset about Mario Kart for good reason, because that's the only $80 game. But everyone got the bundle. Like, let's be honest. Everyone just got it for $50.
Right. Anyone who's trying to get the system probably at least went for the bundle first. And then that brings the game down to $50.
Anyone that knows the game is $80 because they're this tapped into like the industry news is also going to be tapped in enough to get a bundle for getting it at $50.
And these are the same people that already have the Switch 1 controllers available for multiplayer and stuff like that. So, like, I'm waiting to get a Switch 2 Pro controller.
Oh, I locked it in instantly.
Oh, see, instantly. You have one, so I'll be able to touch it.
Yeah.
I'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be the thing that's like, okay, I got to have this now, or can I just keep enjoying my?
That is
my
arguably
Pro
one of the things I'm most excited for, just from the things they were saying.
Yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, we improved on the original Pro controller, which is already, in my opinion, an incredible controller.
Yeah.
They're like, it charges in half the time, it lasts just as long.
Yeah,
it's got all the other bells and whistles.
The GRGL button. It has the
microphone.
Button. Yeah, I think having the headphone jack. Is. That should be standard on like every single controller, and basically is now. For the most part, I think you need. I don't think the.
I mean, there was no reason the Switch 1 Pro controller needed one because there was no voice chat.
Yeah, there's no voice chat,
console.
but just having headphones, especially on a portable console, having in a tabletop mode. But I think they weren't transferring audio through Bluetooth, especially until that update, which let you use Bluetooth headphones. And even then, that was like dodgy. That was basically a hacked-in solution to a problem that shouldn't be a problem at all on this new console.
Right.
So,
but yeah, excited. I think it's working out for them pretty clearly. I think they're going to have a pretty smash launch on their hands, by all indicators, despite tariffs and all that tomfoolery.
I think a lot of what's going to happen too is plenty of people are actually gonna do the it's not something I tend to do, but it's common for people to trade in their old console.
Yeah, and GameStop was offering a pretty good deal for it.
And like the deal on that is pretty good, especially if your console is from 8 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And
2017.
And backward compatibility with most of the popular games and stuff like that. You're gonna have a situation where a lot of people are just getting rid of their old console and upgrading to the new one straight up.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Right.
That just means more people can have them.
I'm not sure what else there is to say about Switch 2.
Yeah,
I'm ready for it to come out in a month.
Right. Yeah. It's a week and it's a month and a couple of weeks. It's gonna be a lot of fun to see how everybody feels about it. Everything's looking like it's like the improvements are probably beyond what we actually understand too. When it comes to the hardware, not necessarily the hardware capabilities, but when it comes to the auxiliary hardware, like that Pro controller, which looking at those preview videos, even the shaft of the sticks is thinner. So I don't know what the implication of that is, but
seems
I
good.
Want to see. I want to
cool.
feel it. Like if it can convince me to spend $85, then I'll do it. Because my original intent was actually to buy 2 more Joy-Con.
Right.
So I have an extra set to do mouse shit with that I can kind of like beat up a little bit.
Yeah, you don't have to care about.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to keep taking them off the console itself. I'm like, But, I think I'm glad I have my Switch 2 secured.
Yeah.
I'm excited to pair it with that TV that came yesterday.
Yep.
Which I'm very happy with, as I mentioned earlier. And I think right now it's actually looking quite good for new video games, like new releases and things like that of video games, especially in this particular week. Which I was a little down about. I was a little down about coming into this part of the year, but this week has been good.
It's been a crazy week.
Yeah. So what happened 2 days ago?
2 days ago, the Oblivion remaster was shadow dropped. They had an announcement stream that turned into a release stream.
Yeah.
They did the damn thing. Bethesda finally starting to reclaim some of its luster.
Yeah, So we both played Oblivion in the past.
Yeah, so I mean, I do have a nostalgia for it. I think I played Morrowind more. Like I actually owned Morrowind. Yeah. I think I played Oblivion at a friend's house mostly.
Okay.
And I did the same thing that I do with pretty much every single Elder Scrolls game, which is I make a Khajiit. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah. Khajiit,
I make a Khajiit. Yeah. I play Sneak. I play Pickpocket. I play Bow and Arrow. And
that's all appropriate.
And I headshot everyone in that I see. Yeah. Every single villager, every single car.
Every single villager, no.
Kill everyone.
You can't just kill
I basically just go in one direction until I hit the edge of the map, and then I stop playing forever.
And you just go on a literal tear through the map. Anyone you see dies. And you get to a point where the game doesn't, there's no more game.
Yeah.
So you're like, all right, I've gone on my
fun
murder tour.
No, but I do actually, because I feel like a lot of people say Oblivion has one of the best stories. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you feel about it. But a lot of people think that, like, at least compared to Skyrim, Oblivion has the better story. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. That's for sure. Skyrim has a lot of little.
The story seems like kind of nothing.
It's like the main quests in Skyrim, Oblivion's cool. I think the Oblivion main quest is cool, but those games are about the 3D games, especially are about the worlds.
Right.
Not to say, Elder Scrolls 1 and 2 are not 3D, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I do kind of want to beat the main quest, because I've never done that in an Elder Scrolls game. But Hot damn, that game is so good looking.
It looks
it's so good
really
feeling.
good. I was looking at I was watching the thing, and I was expecting it to just look like kind of a better Oblivion, but Jesus,
it's like
Christ.
a different game. It looks and feels like a
different game. It looks like it's informed by newer games like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that when it comes to visual style. Like the graphics are being rendered using Unreal Engine 5.
Yep.
And then the underlying game is still the Gamebryo.
Right.
Like the same. It's
same
basically
game
the same game.
Yeah.
But they've made a lot of adjustments to it to make it make like leveling a little bit more modern. The combat feels better. It doesn't feel like you're swinging styrofoam into paper cutouts. It feels like you're actually like cutting into some of these enemies, and the animations are faster in some cases.
You know what I do think probably helped with that?
Yeah.
Is the fact that I think a lot more games in this kind of style are third person.
Yeah, yep.
And that was always where it felt the worst.
Yeah.
The limpness was in third person.
Third person, where it shouldn't feel the limpness, because you can see everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But because I think the games were made for first person, they might have just not really considered it at the time or something.
Yeah. And I think it perhaps could have been a lack of skill in that regard when it came to their direction, because that's not what the games were about. It wasn't about that combat fluency.
Right.
Like Morrowind especially was still dice rolls. Like you could be right up on somebody and the text box will say you missed.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like that about that game.
Yeah.
But speaking of things that need a modern remake,
yeah,
if that
I would go actually kind of crazy.
That would be so fucked. That would be so fucked up to get the Morrowind gameplay and world with like
modernized
a tolerable visual style that doesn't look like the way it looks.
I agree. Morrowind looks like mud.
Morrowind looks bad now. Like it looked not amazing then because the lo-fi graphics were meant to deal with the storage limitations and things like that.
Right. What do you think? What do you think is the over/under of them actually applying this kind of a remaster to Morrowind?
Non-zero chance.
Non-zero. All right, I'll take non-zero.
Non-zero chance that they do it. I think if because they outsourced the main development to Virtuos, and they from what I've played so far, have done a really fucking good job of it. The only issue I have are the load times. That's it.
That's fair.
Because like modern game with these load times on a fucking M.2, they can be kind of long.
Yeah.
And I had a nice fun problem where Windows decided not to let the fucking game save to the folder that it made for itself.
Crazy.
So I lost about 5 hours of gameplay. It's fine. I caught back up to it in like 2 hours because I didn't stop to look at anything. I just was like, let me dot the map with the shit.
I did see some other people mentioning they had the same issue too.
Yeah. It's not uncommon with the game. I had to do the same thing with
sad.
Like Fallout 4 would download my cloud saves, but then it wouldn't save. So anytime I died, it wouldn't load the last autosave because there's nothing there for it to load.
Pretty wacky.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying.
All right, so
the last Metroid.
Going back to the Oblivion remaster.
Oblivion remaster. I don't even remember what the last little thing we were talking about with it was. It looks good. Yeah, it's over. I'll just talk through it. It looks good. It plays well. It's reasonably priced at $50.
Oh my god, the fact that it's $50.
Yeah.
They could have easily charged full 70 for it.
I looked at it, I was like, this is going to be $70, isn't it? And it wasn't.
It's kind of got $70 quality to it.
Yeah, it's got $70 amount of content, plus you get the DLC packs that were in the original game.
Right.
And you can get the deluxe pack that is $60 and get like extra horse armor and shit, ironically.
We really, really need more polished remasters / remakes for $20 under MSRP.
Yeah, the whole like remastering of a game where it kind of makes it a little bit better, like better in noticeable ways. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Perfect example.
Metroid Prime Remaster, I can give that to somebody and confidently say, you are playing Metroid Prime.
This is the definitive version of this game.
Yeah, you're playing it in a way that feels like it's new.
Yeah.
You're not playing it in a way that like we have to pull out the GameCube and shit.
Yeah,
and
get the fucking component cables.
Yeah, you can play it however you want.
on OEM component cables.
Right. The like this Oblivion Remaster is like if you've never played Elder Scrolls 4, you could, if you came from came from Skyrim, you're coming to this as if this is like made as a new game.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like an
another
old
Elder
game.
Scrolls game for you.
It's those quests and everything, but modernized in a way that's better
it's
than
got
Skyrim in a lot of ways. Yeah.
It's got the little Skyrim indicator at the top.
Yeah, you like all the modern amenities, I guess I'll call them, to make the game playable for somebody that may or may not have limited amount of time or want to play the game like they did Skyrim and shit like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% there. And if you really enjoyed Oblivion in the past, which I did, I played it I borrowed a copy for the 360, played through the main quest. That was one of those games that had me up. That and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts kept me up until the sun came up in 2019. That was a weird time during the summer of 2019. And it was like...
Interesting that 2019 is the first time
Not 2019, 2009. I didn't even say 2019.
Okay.
It's 2009. I really did not 2019. 2009. Yeah, 2009, because I had a 360,
that
but I bought a 360
a lot
that
more
year.
sense.
Yeah, I bought a 360 that year to play Street Fighter 4. So I was like, oh, let's play some of these games that came out a couple of years ago that I missed. Well,
I was kind of a similar position.
Yeah.
I only ever played Oblivion on PC. I never played it on 360. But I bought it for... I don't remember what I bought it for, but I bought it refurbished, and it was like 2010 or 11. So a similar situation. I just went back and played a bunch of older games.
Right.
So
and those games
Nuts and Bolts was one of them.
Very available. Like 360
still.
games very, very available on discs. But yeah, fucking like you don't have to deal with the 2006 jank, like hardware kind of jank. You know,
right. Red Ring of Death.
Right. Like I can play the game at 120 frames or more, and the physics aren't tied to it in a way that it fucks everything up, because that's how those games are.
Mm-hmm.
You bring them up higher than 60, and everything starts flying around and shit. It's a really. I'm saying this as someone
it's
that
really funny
worked
that
at
all the mods
company.
still work.
Yeah, mods still work because
the
of the
same
underlying
mods
shit.
work.
Yeah. Like Not Skyrim. Oblivion Remastered is genuinely the good shit.
It's one of the best things they've made in a long time.
One of the best things they've put out with one of their own IP in a long time. Like Bethesda published Indiana Jones, which was really good.
Right.
That was Machine Games and not their IP. Like it was Machine Games that developed it, and that wasn't an original IP. Fine. Fucking Starfield came out in 2023, and people were kind of lukewarm on that.
Yeah.
But I think this is like, if people kind of get back into this, especially younger people that might have been like 6.
And I mean, the social media is helping them. The marketing strategy, kind of genius to just shadow drop it.
Like shadow drops are a way to get me to buy things, because if I wasn't, if you give me just a little too long to consider
whoever was responsible for that, I think was really smart.
Yeah, they did it exactly right. They
not only was it a shadow drop, it was a shadow drop with $50.
Yeah,
a very marketable price.
Yeah, and marketable price, all platforms. It just
PS5. Yeah, really
PS5
funny.
users don't have to wait. They can play it just alongside with Xbox and PC users.
And it was shadow dropped in a way that was like, we knew it was coming.
Right, yeah. Like it was.
So it built its own
that.
hype in that way too, where it was like, oh, this might be real. And the more real it became, the more hyped people got
for it. Yeah, exactly.
Which is like, I think the reverse of what we've seen over the last several years, where people announce a thing and they generate the hype, and then the hype kind of dies.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe like Silksong. But
Silksong's got its own.
But things like that, right? Where it's Cyberpunk, same thing. They announced it, and then like on release, these games fucking like struggle, right? There's always some kind of backlash, some kind of shit like didn't meet expectations. Right. So hopefully this is a new trend. Hopefully it's just like fuck expectations. We're not going to tell you anything. We're just going to drop shit, and if you like it, go ahead.
Great, yeah. And I think as much as kind of not reductive, but I really shouldn't say that long, should I? Like maybe regressive in some people's minds.
Oh, okay.
It's like people know what Oblivion is.
That's the other thing. It works for established franchises, IPs, and studios.
Yeah.
So like Cyberpunk, everyone knew was hyped because of Witcher 3.
Project Red, Witcher 3
Silksong, everyone knew was hyped because of Hollow Knight.
People of Hollow Knight. Metroid Prime, fucking...
the shadow drop works for something that's established, whether it's the people, person, place, or thing.
Yeah.
But on the other end of the spectrum, are we done with Oblivion? I'm making it segue here.
Keep going. Like we're
I'm segueing.
Yeah.
On the other end of the spectrum, you'll get brand new studio, first game coming out, new IP, new idea, AA, and you've got a masterpiece on your hands called Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
There's that. But even an example of that, of a game that already came out, Hi-Fi Rush also came out the same way. They're not a new studio, Tango Gameworks, but Hi-Fi Rush was shadow dropped. And again, a way to get me to play a game is to shadow drop it, because I'm going to be like, let me rip through this shit right now.
But Claire Obscure was not shadow dropped. That's kind of my point, is that like games that don't have that, where it's new people, it's a new IP, it's a new game, it's a new thing. Like they do genuinely need some time to build up the hype.
They need some time to establish what they're doing, show you why you might want it, and maybe let people find out like, oh, these are former Ubisoft developers and shit like that.
And frankly, this week is a perfect example of why they do need that.
Yeah.
Because if they had gone the route of like minimal marketing and Oblivion remaster drops out of nowhere 2 days before launch, they're completely fucked.
Yeah.
Right?
They disappear into the ether until somebody was like, yo, this is good shit.
Yeah.
But now we...
Yeah, now they gave it the proper time. They gave it the right amount of marketing. It wasn't years ago.
Right.
It was probably like 6 months ago, maybe a year.
I think it was about a year ago, because I remember hearing about the game we were in.
It was either in a state of play or a...
It was in the Xbox thing.
Yeah, that's right. We were in the studio. It was the Xbox Game Showcase.
Yeah.
Which, I think it was like June-ish, June or July.
Yeah, it was something like that.
So not quite a year.
Yeah, we've been like... It would come up...
Yeah.
At least a week.
They had the right pacing.
Yeah, and it what's it called? I think that kind of game is probably exactly what the genre needed from a Western perspective, because it's getting really, really good reviews. Yeah, like really good reviews. It's I don't suppose it's long.
No, it's 30 hours.
It's 30. Okay, there we go. And it's got a
AA $45 if you preload it, or not pre-purchase, but early purchase. Early,
yeah. Yeah, there it is now.
Now I'm trapped.
What was it?
Can I put you back? Are you gonna be okay with it? I can't tell.
I'll let you do this while I'm performing, I thought. What was I gonna say? And the game is like, it has fucking like as an actual style. Right. It has a formed art style, gameplay style. Like it might have borrowed some things from other games, but I think it borrowed it from the right places.
Yeah, and it borrowed in the way that it didn't even like it's its own thing for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
You look at a gameplay clip and you're like, oh, I know exactly what game this is.
Yeah, I know who like what this game is. But then you see gameplay that's like this kind of like the interface being sort of like Persona 5 with a twist. There you have certain mechanics that are like Paper Mario, Xenoblade, again Persona with a Western twist on it. There's a lot of little things going on that clearly shows they've been paying attention. To the kind of game, like kind of Japanese RPGs that have been coming out, right? And seeing like what they could do with their own personal way of approaching it. And that's what they said too in interviews, right? Is they're like, we saw what has been happening with the sort of trend on JRPGs or just turn-based RPGs. Yeah, turn-based. And we're like, we think this style from like Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, Sea of Stars, like that has been like neglected. Like the sort of action-y, the action command. Yeah. Fucking, so I'm fucking excited to dive into that. They've got good talent behind it. They got the main voice actor from Final Fantasy 16. Oh yeah. What was his name?
Ben Starr.
That's right. Yeah.
They've got I want to say there's a few other voice actors I recognize, but I've been seeing early commentary on the prologue, like the first hour, and everyone's just like, they hit you right in the fucking field. Like it's a really good story off the rip. And so it like hooks you in. So I'm like very...
So it seems like a very, very considered like game that considers just the way games have been made from the past like maybe 10 or so years.
Exactly.
And I wishlisted it immediately. I'll wait for it to be on sale just because I have other games. Right. Still working through Xenoblade. You have like double the hours I have in it, bitch. And I'm still... Yeah, you're still playing Xenoblade. I'm just like, fuck. But, RPG fans are eating fucking good. Dude. And I have this fat ass TV with it now. There you go. When the black turns actual black. There you go. The brights are like, whoosh, so it looks like I'm actually on. It's rizzing you. Jesus. But yeah. You were about to say something before we looked at.
No, the only thing I was going to say is that Claire Obscure, like going back to the whole thing with established IP.
Yeah.
Funny enough, they already announced that they're going to make a live action movie.
That's a little insane to me.
Yeah. In January, they kind of locked it in.
Yeah, even if they didn't, even if they were going to do that, I think they could have probably chilled.
It probably would have been conservative to chill on something that hasn't even had any kind of a release yet. But from what I'm hearing, it seems like it might pay off because people are going through the story and they're like, "This is crazy." They're like, "This has to have been based on a book or something." Like it's really well written. So I don't know the history behind who wrote the story or who the narrative director is or anything like that, but. It seems like they were confident in it. It seems like they, maybe they'll get the payoff. Because that's the other thing too, right? Is like with a new IP, you do have to kind of ride the momentum, right? So if you want additional media, become a multimedia franchise, you can't wait too long because then people are like, wait, what the fuck was this again? Like, I don't care about this anymore, right? Yeah. That's the unfortunate nature of the attention span these days.
I'm curious as to what they would do with it. Like, would it be
just like a rehash,
of the game, or would it be some like lore outside of the game?
I would think it's an outside thing, just from the name alone. Like, I know literally nothing about the story of the game, but the fact that it's called Claire Obscure Expedition 33, like it has a subtitle,
it probably
tells me that they have
a universe,
universe world building in mind.
Yeah, and this game is just that expedition.
Yeah, it's just this one slice.
It might be Claire Obscura fucking expedition up your ass, and it's some short, other bullshit. Yeah, it's like a season of a TV series or something.
Yeah, so I imagine the film will touch some complete other periphery of the story.
You said it's a movie?
It'll be a movie.
Oh, so,
live action movie.
And let me consider this like Advent Children exists, but that took a while.
Yeah, not live action though.
It's not live action, and there's Kingsglaive, which
Kingsglaive
is an ancillary movie. It's not good.
Kingsglaive is not good, and it was too connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you kind of have to.
Like it's part of the game's story. Yeah, you required watching. Yeah. Like that whole strategy with Final Fantasy 15 was actually insane.
Yeah,
it was. I'm glad that they tried it in the sense of like. The philosophy of it. Yeah. Like, let's actually try to make a multimedia story that's like, there's so many different angles to it.
But it's just...
Clearly it didn't work out.
It didn't work out.
But now it's out there, It's like, here's an example of something that was done that didn't work. So now people don't need to make the same mistake.
So, and that's what I'm thinking. I could see them using a movie for more canon information about stuff in the game,
like 1,000 years ago. Yeah, here's how shit started, or whatever.
Or like 20 years in the future, this is what happened as a result.
Yeah,
of this,
which is like that's what the multimedia angle always kind of needs to be. It's just like here's some more shit for you to chew on. If you want
exactly. And it's not gonna
it's not gonna affect.
It's not gonna tie up. If you specifically like the game, it's not gonna fuck that up. If you specifically like the movie, the game isn't really gonna affect that so much either.
Exactly.
It's like we already talked about Devil May Cry, but somebody at work was like, "Hey, why didn't you tell me Devil May Cry like the show was not canon?" I was like, "What?
Why didn't you tell me?
What the hell? What do you mean? Like, why would it be? Who cares? It's still fun." And it's like, why is Dante like a 40-year-old man in Devil May Cry 5? I was like, what the fuck? Because he's well, all right. I'm not gonna worry about this.
I'm glad that you are worried about it. Someone needs to be.
But no. But yeah, I think we talked about the main stuff today. We had a lot of time spent with this dude.
It's gonna be a good year. We did lose like literally 20 minutes, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Higher fans. I have one.
Oh, okay, nice.
Sky Oblivion.
Oh, okay,
Skyrim mod to make Skyrim into Oblivion.
I do feel a little bit bad for them.
I feel a little bit bad for them when it comes to because they were going to release it this year,
right? And they've been working on it for what, like
it's been
more than 10 years.
Yeah, it's been many years. I think it still is allowed to exist.
It seems like it's actively supported.
And Bethesda actually gifted the entire dev team copies of Oblivion Remastered, which I think really is an acknowledgement that of what they're doing and like
and how it can exist.
And it's like, hey, this is how we interpreted updating Oblivion. So let's see how you do it with you can go ahead and do it with Skyrim to bring it up to this.
It's a completely different take.
Exactly. On top of that, like when it comes to those games, modding and all that kind of stuff is super encouraged. They give you the tools. They give you the tools to do it.
Yeah, they've always been very pro, like, let the fans fuck the game up however they want.
They've been pro user-generated content big time. And they don't care. Like, people, I will say, people say, like, oh, why is it always down to the fans that fix Bethesda games? Like, I don't think you fuckers understand. These motherfuckers wouldn't have anything to paint on if someone didn't make the canvas. Right. And clearly they're not doing it themselves. So...
That's a good analogy.
It's just like... It's one of those things where I'm like, man, it's not like Bethesda is waiting for someone to fix it. Right. It's that they're giving you the ability... They're giving you the framework. To do it.
Yeah.
You know?
They're giving you the framework and their take. It's actually... Yeah. It's somewhat, it's interesting. I'll just say it's interesting. Yeah. I'll use I'll use a nothing word to describe this, but it's interesting that Bethesda has the lack of hubris or the humility, I guess, to be like, we made a game. Here's the story. Here's the shit. Here's everything that we made. We don't assume that it's the best thing.
Yeah,
we fully encourage you to make your own stories, make your own changes, make your own anything with the sandbox that we've built for you.
And clearly they look at that because I think the part of what Oblivion Remastered benefited from was seeing how people were changing their games and being like, what are the kind of mechanical changes and user interface changes and things like that people commonly install to make the experience better. And some of that is there a lot, some of that there still has some 2006 isms where
it's kind of like
a little cumbersome to go through when you have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like a form of what do you call it when you get like focus group. It's almost a consolidated focus group where you just can use the data of the modding community to be like, this is popular.
Right.
This is leveraged. People went through the trouble of installing extra shit to make this come to life.
And at this point, a lot of that shit goes straight through them when you're talking about the Creation Club and stuff. Not Creation Club. The just the in-game mod menu. I forgot what the fuck we called it. I worked in that workshop? Shit. I don't remember what to call it. It's not Steam. What the fuck is it? I don't remember, dude. I spent a lot of time on that shit. I just trust the menus, man. So when it comes to Sky Oblivion, I haven't seen much of it, but I also think that those people did the right thing and picked a game and IP and tools and everything to work with that were not gonna, they weren't gonna step on anyone's toes by working on it.
Right.
It could exist and they could do it trouble-free, essentially, especially if they're doing it for free.
Right.
I think, what's it called? So if it were up to me, a lot of the times the people that end up working on a lot of these games are people that work on mods like that anyway.
Right.
So I think without, like, if I'm talking about industry standards right now, then sure, I'd hire them because they obviously understand.
And they're like
that certain other things don't, and they don't even. And I think they also share the same humility that Bethesda has with their games anyway.
Right.
Where they're like, we don't think this is better than what they could do.
Right.
We're just doing it because we can do it.
Yeah.
Like this is something that's like we want to see what Oblivion would be with Skyrim's.
It is a pretty unique dichotomy. It's almost like Valve and Black Mesa.
Yeah.
But except Valve didn't actually remake Half-Life 1 and Source 2, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like what it would be. So that I feel like they're the two companies that, at least the big AAA companies, that really do it that way.
And I think like in Bethesda's case, I think because a lot of their games are built from the perspective of like tabletop RPGs anyway. A lot of that is about modifying the game to do what you want it to do.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
It's not like
that's a really good way of putting it. Going all the way back to the earlier Elder Scrolls games being like D&D.
Yeah.
they probably see themselves as the dungeon master. The dungeon master doesn't have all the answers. They're not telling you exactly what you have to do. They're just providing the context.
And they put together their own version of the rule book that you can then use to make your own scenarios and whatnot. Of course, you have to have the skill to do so. It's a troubleshoot to test it and make sure everything works. But past that, it's available for you to do. This main quest, this main game is what we made with it. Yeah. This is what you can make with it. This is what you can put these things together. You can put you can mix your Mega Blocks with your Lego and make whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a legitimate philosophy. It's like it's the complete opposite of Nintendo.
Right.
Who's like
completely what do you call it? Not air gapped, but like
I don't know.
When you have a walled garden.
Walled garden. Yeah, and like that's legitimate too. But I think there's a clash of philosophies when it comes to, because there's nothing free about that. You know what I mean? Right. Not to mention their games remain expensive. So it's like you're going to their restaurant and eating their food.
Yeah.
And in fact, in some ways, you don't even get to order the food. Like you walk into the restaurant and the food that you get is what you get.
There's some sushi places like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like there is no menu. You sit down and you eat whatever the fuck the chef makes.
What shows up. Yeah.
And if you don't like it, sorry. You made the choice to walk in. You paid already.
You better be ready to. Yeah. You can't just say I didn't like that. What you're taking the chance.
I didn't get to put ketchup on it.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. And that's a chance you have to take, and that's a chance a lot of people are willing to take.
Yeah.
Because it also takes less work.
Right.
Whereas playing Skyrim and whatnot, a lot of people like playing these open world RPGs, especially the ones that are heavily moddable, things like that. That's a different thing where you kind of have to do the work to become okay with things that don't work right, and
you gotta tinker a little bit.
Yeah, decide if you're willing to tinker with it, if you're going to take it as is. You can take it vanilla. If you're going to take it, a little bit of chocolate sauce on it. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're going to change the whole thing,
a little reshade.
But all the options are there for you to do that here. And what you get then is a less curated experience, maybe a less refined experience, but you get the experience that you want out of it. You know what I mean? So,
or like you at least get your own experience.
Yeah, you have your
whether
own
it's not like you
experience.
Wanted it or not. Like maybe there's some shit that you're like, wow, I kind of regret that. But it's like you had your own journey.
You're probably a little more willing to accept things being a little fucked up when
I mean, that is the reality, right?
When it's
like,
yours,
Bethesda shit has knowingly been jank forever, and yet they're still very popular.
What's it called? Todd, first name basis.
Toddy.
Todd Howard in the presentation for Skyrim Remastered even says like
Oblivion
some
Remastered.
of the charm of the old games. Like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, everyone knows.
Everyone knows
it's
what
not
the
a
fuck
secret,
it is.
Yeah,
exactly.
But people are completely fine with it because it's about the sandbox.
Exactly.
It's about getting messy.
Yeah,
get your fucking feet wet.
You're right. It's like going to those festivals where you come out covered in paint.
Yeah.
Rather than going to fucking like Wolf Trap and listening to a
classical music.
A band and orchestra play very specific music.
Right.
That you're going to hear, but so. But yeah, no, I think we kind of covered what we had today.
That's good. Lot to feast on, lot to eat these days.
A lot of positive stuff to look forward to, actually.
That too.
Like I'm
it's
excited
looking like a bigger year than I ever thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a little bit of a slowdown.
Right. I did too, but I think some stuff is coming out of the woodwork. And we didn't even get to talk. I'm like, I don't think I brought up fucking Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which is also a remaster, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Using Unreal Engine to change the graphics with the underlying game still being Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. And like that was good too, and that Shadow dropped, and I played it. I popped Game Pass and played through it. So
it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it here for today. I can go and take the child inside.
Yeah.
We appreciate you listening to us.
Yeah.
Thank you, fellow listener.
Yeah.
If you like to enjoy this journey with us in the future, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a subscribe. Send us an email at memoryleakpodcast@gmail.com.
This is why we need cameras. So people can see the face I'm making as you're saying it. Like,
we're on Spotify.com, iHeartRadio.com. Is it a .com?
I don't know. I don't think so.
YouTube.com. Google Podcasts, the app. Apple Podcasts, the app. Podbean, I think that's an app.
Is that an app? Yeah, I think that's an app. I've never seen Podbean.
Yeah,
before.
I actually don't know what Podbean is.
I mean, whatever.
I completely have no idea.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. Until next time.
All right. Yeah, we're good. Get out of here.